Hello everybody, Gisele Grenier here. So in this video lesson, we're going to make another background for photography to photograph our artwork, but I want to quickly show you, because in the last video wasn't quite dry yet, why you need to use a ultra matte varnish. So this is the background that I created. This is with pure paint. There's nothing on it. You can see that it has a satin finish. And this is what happens if you use a gloss varnish. The color is beautiful, but it's glossy. And then this is the look. I used ultra matte varnish, and there's a choice between the I used basically a choice between Decor Media ultra matte varnish or the Duraclear. They're both indoor outdoor, which is critical because if you happen to do photography and spill coffee, tea, or let's say you want to photograph a piece of art and put some water droplets beside it for props or whatever, it's important that your background be protected. But look at that beautiful matte finish. So just to compare, there's absolutely zero glare coming off that. So it doesn't matter what angle that you're taking your photograph at, it's going to look good. And since doing the background videos, I've done 2 so far, for the photography backgrounds, I've been getting quite a few emails on you guys wanting to see my process for photographing the art pieces. So I'm going to be doing some videos on that as well. And I also got, no, we're going to put this away. I also got some requests on, for this particular background here. Oh, this particular background here is to create different tones of it. So like this one here was based on a yellow green, and the one today I'm going to focus on is a blue green. But then there was a thing, well, what if you, the lady asked, well, what if I didn't want it to be so intense, more neutral? I'm going to do that as well. So keep the questions coming, because I want to make the content for you guys. It's not for what I want, it's for what you want. So let me know, look at the artwork that you have that you would like to take pictures of, and even send me a picture of the piece, and then I'll create a background demonstration to show you what ideas of what you could do. And I mean, this is and then what happens if like this medium that I'm using, it's not working because it's already starting to tear. So I am coming up with another way to create the backgrounds where you can keep them nice and condensed. So that will be coming up as well. So sorry, I just went into a sneezing fit. So keep the suggestions and the feedback and comments coming. If you don't want to post it in the YouTube comments or the Facebook comments, depending on where you're watching this, just go to artplace.ca, click the contact link in the menu, and send it to me privately there. That way as well, when I reply, you'll be able to attach a photograph of your art piece. So for this project today, I'm going to be using obviously the ultra matte varnish to varnish the piece. So I'm going to put that away. And so the colors I'm using, I'm going to stick again with the fluid acrylics, because I like, especially with these colors here, because they're transparent, I like the way that they layer, and the light goes through and it really makes it luminescent. So I'm going to be using the Decor Media Fluid Acrylics, Phthalo Green Blue, Phthalo Blue, and Hansa Yellow Light. I may pull in another color. I'm not sure yet, but this is ideally what I'm going to start off with. And I put everything on the palette. And then for the white, I'm using chalky gesso, and I just put it into a smaller tube because it's also ultra matte. I want to try to mattify everything as much as possible. So I'm going to be using this one here, and let's see, make sure you can see. And can we see that glare? So I don't see it because I'm on an angle, but you guys see that glare, and that is torture when it comes to photographing your artwork. That you do not want to see that. Okay, but I don't have a choice because you won't be able to see what I'm doing. So the first thing we want to do is, obviously, because this is just a cheapy old, well, it's not cheapy, it's a beautiful catalog from Lee Valley, but it's got a glossy finish. So we need to put a ground on there so the paint has something to stick on. So I'm going to be using the chalky gesso just to put that on there. And I want to have the brush strokes showing. I don't want to see ridges of paint, which is that. I want to see brush strokes. So what if you don't have any gesso. Well, sorry, sweeties, you gesso was something you should have in your art stash. It's a staple thing, like a paintbrush. So what you can do is put on a mask and take some light sandpaper and lightly sand the paper. I'm talking lightly sand because this is super thin. Oh, and I also want to do a shout out to Marcy, who sent me an email thanking me for thanking me for one of the videos I did. And I was in that video, I was complaining. I want to use the B word, but there may be kids watching. I was complaining about this, the camera shake. And she basically, I appreciate your lovely support. And today's the day. Joe is finally, he's putting me back in the other room. He's putting the studio back in the small room. Mia is losing her dedicated bedroom with a queen-size bed. He's moving my studio back to that room. Yay! We figure with the pandemic, we're not going to see the grandkids for any time soon. And, you know, we love Mia, but she's not bringing in any money right now. So the photography for dogs is not coming in right now. So, yeah, so we're going to put the studio back in there. And he's going to mount everything on the wall so there will be no camera shake. So, yeah, so that comment, when I showed him the comment, he said, oh, for God, well, for sakes. So he said, yeah, okay, so we're doing it today. So it is, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. He's gone out for his walk, so I'm with Mia, so I'm quickly getting this video done. And yeah. There we go. So there we are. So we've got some stuff happening there. So let's put that. Oh, and the other thing I'm going to use, and I'm not sure, this is what I'm not sure. I brought out this stencil. This kind of grabbed my eye. It's called Busy Bee. It's an American mixed media. It's made by Deco Art. And all the stuff I'm using, I get questions, where can you buy it? I would start off at decoart.com, and then they have an online store, but you can also go to places like Michael's. I'm in Canada, so I don't know what's available in the United States or elsewhere in the world. But, do a search on Google. Just say, and just type in, where to buy Deco Art paint or something. But you can always get it at decoart.com, and if they can't ship to your country, they can, just contact them and they can let you know. Dry. All right. Oh, and if I can remember, I got a message via Facebook. I love you guys for the suggestions. Don't send me stuff through Facebook or social media. Either do it through YouTube or, if you do it on the Facebook page, that's fine. But email is the guaranteed way that I will see your questions, because social media to me is, it's a time suck. So I don't use it. Well, I use it maybe 1% of a month. Lighting for photography. So I'm going to be doing a video on that. I just got to remember to do all this stuff. How I have the light set up for painting, not for filming, but for painting, angles and all that stuff. Because the lights that I use, other than one, they're not expensive. All right, so let me just wipe off. See, there's that camera shaking again. Just gonna wipe off the excess because I want to get going on this. Now I'm going to take my heat gun and I'm going to dry it gently. Ooh, did you hear that jump? That's, I think, my power bar. I think it is starting to go. Okay, you know what that means? Off. When it comes to stuff like that, I am not taking a chance. Okay, so that's still a little bit damp. Well, let's see how far we can go with this. All right, so what I'm thinking about doing is similar to this. I got paint on that. Similar to this, but I want to focus a little bit more with some actual dimension. Okay, so picture this with maybe some ghosting of a pattern in there. And you don't want to make the pattern too busy because it'll conflict with your art. But again, you can do one without and then you can do one with. The worst thing that can happen is you're getting experience with color mixing. Okay. I'm missing something. Oh. Okay. We're using pure color here. Okay. We're not using any black or any white to lighten or darken the values. Pop quiz. What would happen if using these colors, what would happen if I decided, because I need to make them dark, I need to make a dark edge. What would happen if I decided to use chromatic black instead of carbon black to darken my edges? Okay, so that's your pop quiz for this lesson. So I'm going to bring out some carbon black. You can also use black gesso, same pigment. Let's put that right over here. And yeah. So I'm going to start off this way though with black, and I'm going to go right to the outside edge. And I'm just going to fix that stuff up. Just going to get a light layer in there. Oops, you guys probably can't see. So I'm going to answer the pop quiz question in the comments. I want you guys to put your thinking caps on and really think about that. And for those of you that don't know, if you're new to the channel, if you don't know what chromatic black is where I make a black color, I make black with color. Achromatic is something like carbon black, but achromatic is like carbon black. Chromatic is black made with color. So for example, I'll take burnt sienna, ultramarine blue, or phthalo blue and burnt umber, or green and a red. Oh, here's another pop quiz. Don't you guys love it when I do this? I have to talk to you guys about something, right? What is my favorite? Okay, so this is a trick question. What's my favorite mixture for the absolute deepest chromatic black that I can ever make? And here's another pop quiz. What is my go-to staple chromatic black mixture? Yeah, if you're new to the channel, you may not know. So I'm just basically cleaning out my brush. Oh, table shake. But I want to show you why I put on the gesso the way I did. Look at all that pattern. Grunge. You guys know how much I like grunge. All right, so now what I'm going to do is, in my dirty brush, I'm going to pick up the phthalo green blue. So this is phthalo green on the blue side, where in the previous background, it was phthalo green on the yellow side. And this is PG7. Now, if you don't have phthalo green that's on the blue side, take some phthalo blue and then add a little bit of Hansa Yellow Night. You're not going to get a pure color. And I'm just going to overlay that. And this is glazing, where I'm glazing that color over the black. And you may be saying, well, why not just mix the green with the black? Because then all you're going to do is dull down the green. Glazing is where you're putting transparent layers on top of color. I should do a video demonstration on that, but glazing. That's another question I have. Just to show you. That's all the questions you guys have been sending me. Questions and feedback. And I am so grateful that you guys are so curious about different things that you want to learn about, and yeah, just keep them coming. I will get to them as fast as I can. Okay, see what I'm doing there? Now I'm going to take a little bit of the blue and I'm going to go right in here, and this I'm going to be even rougher. Remember that with backgrounds like this, you can, if you don't want to do it for photography, you can also use it for book of backgrounds. I'm going to take a little bit of yellow. Just going to plunk that in there. And what we're doing is we're creating this background that's more on the blue side. So I'm going to go back between the blue and the yellow. And as I'm picking up more and more paint, it's canceling out the black. That's why I started from the outside and I'm working towards the middle. Okay, I'm just going to wipe off the excess, and now I'm just going to dry brush where the little white pockets are. And when dry brushing, because you're using basically just what's left in the brush, and if it's just a little bit, you're tinting the areas where it's white, so it's going to be light, but you're not having to use white paint. And wherever you run out, just pick up a tiny little bit and just go back over. I forgot when I put the gesso on, I was supposed to put a layer of matte medium as a barrier layer. Oops. Oh well. Oh well. That just helps the paint flow a little bit better. I'm going to take a little bit of blue, a little bit of green. Add another glazing layer so it's over the black. So what's going to happen is the black is going to have this bit of a shift in color, and it's still going to be nice and strong. I'm liking this little bits of grunge. Let's see if you can see that. There we go. That's a bit too yellow. I'm going to deepen that a little bit. Now I'm going to take a paper towel and see if I can get some of that paint to, I got to be careful with this. I'm trying to get some of the paint to come up. You got to be careful with this because I'm working, basically it's paper gesso. The gesso on the, unless you put like, 4 or 5 layers, it doesn't really strengthen the paper. That's why the matte medium helps. So when you're scrubbing like this, it creates an extra protective layer. But I'm just working on paper, so gotta be careful. And on top of that, when you use gesso on anything glossy, you really should let it cure for 24 hours. Love this. I don't know if you can see that. Look at that. Look at that. That's the magic right there. Putting that on there. So just transparent layers is what glazing is. And where to put the glaze or where to put the transparent color, it depends on your background, because we're all going to create something different. I'm going to take a bit more green now, a little bit more blue. And the paper towel can be used for collage material for another piece of art. Look at that. I love that grunge. So I'm just going to put a little bit more of the blue and green. And this basically creates that rough mottled effect that I'm going for. I mean, you can leave it if you just with the brush. That could be for another video. But for this particular effect, I'm looking for something soft, like almost like airbrushing, where the airbrush tool wasn't working right. It's just like kind of splattery. See, that's another thing when using papers, that it gets all crinkly. I would end up having to iron this, but it will. I mean, the other one did eventually flatten out. But look at the difference. So blue-green and yellow-green. But as soon as I put the varnish on that, it's going to really make a difference. All right, I'm going to stop for a sec. I'm going to plug my heat gun into a different... I'm going to change the power bar. Then I'm going to dry it. Then we'll come back and then we'll work on the next layer, which is I'm going to try to see if I can add a ghosting image to the background. I'm putting out some titanium white, the fluid acrylic titanium white. And let's see if I can tilt this for you guys. Oh, I don't know how much it's going to affect the lighting. Oh, where's my... Oh, Joe's home. I'm going to work a background in here. Okay, I'm going to shut off the camera for a sec till he comes in and gets settled. Back in a sec. All right, so I took a bit of a break when Joe came home. I actually went and had breakfast. What I did, though, before filming is I applied a layer of matte medium on the whole surface, just because the next part is I'm going to be doing stenciling, and I want to make sure that the paper doesn't fall apart. So yeah, so this is probably the last background that I do for photography on this. Everything else, I'll just create backgrounds just to test them out, and because this is really flimsy. I mean, I could put 4 or 5 layers of gesso to make it stronger. It just depends if I want to go through that aggravation. So the challenge for me now is, what color am I going to put on there? I was thinking about just using the white, but I'm thinking, because this is, what I would have liked is a reverse stencil where I'd only be stenciling these marks here. And I don't have a stencil for that. So I could, if I wanted to, stencil this using just black paint onto white paper, throw it into my scan and cut, and then make a reverse stencil out of that. If you guys want to see a video on how to do that, let me know, and I can show you. But I'm thinking, and I'm not sure if I'm not going to cover everything, so I'm thinking it's more matte medium with, okay, if I was a palette knife, where would I be? I'm thinking matte medium just with phthalo blue and a bit of phthalo green. I'm not sure about the white. I'm really not, because I'm thinking it's going to be just too opaque. I would have to be so precise. So I'm just going to take a little bit, just a speck, and I'm going to put it in. And then bring a little bit of phthalo blue. Oh, and that's too much. Mind you, it is going to be transparent, because this will dry transparent, so I'll have to see that a little bit of green. This looks opaque, but it's not. The matte medium will be transparent. So, and that's another thing, is if you don't have matte varnish, is that you can use matte medium, but there's still a little bit of a shine, not like that. That's ideally what you want for your background. That's still got some shine to it. And when I varnish it at the end, you'll see. So I'm not going to do everything. So let's just randomly pick some spots. And I'm actually not even looking for perfect edges, because I want this to be almost invisible. So let's see what happens if we have that there. And then we'll put a little bit here. And we'll put a little bit here. That's going to have a little bit of texture. And let's do this one in the corner. Remember, this is glazing that we're doing here, because it's transparent paint. And let's do that one there. I want to try to make sure everything's kind of connected. And I want to work relatively fast. And let's do something in the corner. We'll bring that right out here. What you don't want to do is you don't want to have this stencil dry to the piece. Okay, so let me think. Okay, I need something down, corner, 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 something here. Let's connect these two here. I want to make sure I've got little bits of pocket. I'm just using whatever's left in the brush now, just to fill out the outside edges. You'll just add a little bit of a slight color shift. Okay, so now when taking it off, you want to make sure you don't pull it to slide. Oh, you know what? I don't think you guys saw what I did in the bottom. Ah, shoot, sorry. Okay, well, I can't move it because that's stuck now. You want to pull it up. All right, so we'll see what that looks like. And let me just move that to the side. And now what I have to do is I have to clean my stencil. So that was another question that I was asked, is I'd have to find the question in the book, how I clean my stencils. Ideally what I do is I just put everything into a like a Tupperware tub. But because we're going to be packing up the studio, moving it to the smaller room right after I'm done this video, I couldn't put the Tupperware tub on the floor, not just for one video. So I just basically put everything on a paper towel, just take a baby wipe, clean, 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 wipe, 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 and that's it. And then the baby wipes are all covered. I'll just reuse this. When it dries out, I'll just dip it into clean water and, you know, just do the same thing with each stencil after that. Now with delicate stencils that require like precise clean edges, I'm abusive to stencils. You can see I waited too long to clean this one. Precise stencils though, I clean them right away. I'll stop my video and I'll put them on a layer of baby wipes, really clean them nicely. And if you use 1000 Plus stain remover, also known as Winning Colors, that cleans really well. And with these types of stencils, a kitchen scrubby sponge, and just gently, and that'll pull off all the paint. Like I can scratch it and it'll come off. See? These stencils are pretty durable. The decor stencils, the Americana decor, are even stronger. But I'm not worried about this because I don't like super clean edges anyways. And I'll just put this back into the original packaging and put it with all the other stencils that are flat. And put this back over here. All right, so I'm going to let this dry. When we come back, I'm already seeing that it's not going to make that much of a color shift, but we'll see what happens. All right, so I didn't get the effect that I wanted. That's the effect I was going for here, but it really didn't happen into too many places. So I'm going to try it again, and fresh brush. And this time I'm going to, where's my palette knife? I'm going to add a little bit more white. So we'll see about that. You guys want to see an experiment? I'm going to go right into white. I want to show you guys something. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go straight into white. Can you guys guess what I'm going to be doing? Now, ideally, I don't like stenciling with the fluid acrylics because they're fluid and they get, get underneath the stencil, and I don't want to wipe out too much. So I'm just going to pounce. This helps. This helps the paint not. This helps the paint not get underneath. I am not a stenciling expert by any means. Stenciling is something that I look for shape. And I actually should have used the proper stenciling brushes. You guys are probably wondering, what the F is she doing? Sorry, kids. What is she doing? Oops, that's too much. Forgot to wipe it off on the paintbrush. Forgot to wipe the paintbrush off. Now I've got too much there. And as I run out of paint, I'm going to go towards the outside edge. So what am I going to be doing? I kind of gave a clue already at the beginning of the project. It would be detrimental if once this is dry, if it didn't work. Oh no, whatever shall I do? Oh, this is hard on the arms. I'm doing this in my right hand, but it's my left arm that's getting tense. Okay, so let's just connect a few things together. Dee. All right, now I'm going to take that same baby wipe. So I'm just going to, yeah, it's already dry. That's fine. Oh no. Oh no, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Oh my God, that's so much. Why? What do I do? Okay, let me just put that aside. Oh, let's clean the stencil. No, Gisele, just get to it. Fix it, fix it, fix it. Patience. You need patience. I should go have a cup of tea. Would you guys like to see how I make a cup of tea? Don't worry, I'm not going to show you that. Let me just quickly dry this with a heat gun. It's already dry. It's already dry. Okay, in the perfect world, I actually would have brought this down just a little bit more because I don't like that hard edge. So let me just bring that one. Let me just break that up. Oh my God, I'm using up all my brushes. Let's just break that down. I'll try to be fast. Where else did I need to break that up? I don't want to see hard lines. Was that it? And here, let me just add, just want to get the paint out of my brush. I tell you, I'm abusive. See, that's the effect I'm going for. That one right there. That's what I'm going for. This right here. This ghosting image. So, this is not what I wanted this here. This is what I wanted here. So what do I do? Okay, so hopefully you guys, well, some of you have been watching me for years will probably know what I'm about to do. And I did give a hint a bit earlier on about the technique. We're going to glaze it. This is what's going to happen. Remember when I was doing the initial background where I had all the brush strokes and I glazed the color and we were able to see what's underneath? Same thing here. When you're using white in paint, it's going to be opaque. It's going to be a chalky look to it. But what if you want to see the pattern? You want to see the texture but you want the pure, vibrant color. Using white paint is the way to do it. Now I'm going to go extreme. And if I was my matte medium, where would I be? Again, I'm going to go back to the matte medium. Not going to use this one because I put white in it. If I was a palette knife, where would I be? Of course, I'm going to get all these experimental ideas to show you. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking all I want to do right now is just move this flipping room back so I can film without this. Bit of green. All right. And, oh, here's another. So Joe and I watched Caribbean Life every single Saturday morning, because we're going to be moving part-time to the Caribbean, and we're looking at a container home. And we saw I'm going somewhere with this. We saw one of the houses in Caribbean Life where it was a backsplash. It was tile, but it was like an ocean blue marble tile. I'm going to make a prototype for that, because you know Joe and I DIY everything. So I'm going to put a bit more medium here. And this is way too much. All right. So I'm going to load the brush. Not with paint. Not with paint. I'm going to load the brush with medium. And I'm going to paint medium over everything. And once I do this, I hope I didn't quite put enough on there. Once I do this, I'm going to be putting the actual paint mixture on there, which also has medium in it. And then once it's dry, I'm hoping it's going to be too intense, because then I'm going to give you an idea of what you can do, because things happen. Things happen. Okay, so once we have, I mean, that's really pretty. Now I'm going to take the glazing color and I'm going to go right on top, and look what's happening. It's just a stain. It looks opaque right now, but wait until this puppy dries. If you're watching this and you're thinking, I want this exact look, you're not going to get it. There are too many variables when it comes to art, temperature, color mixture, measuring. I don't believe in exact formulas, because that's just unrealistic when it comes to making your paints for art. Just go with what you feel. And on top of that, color matching through a monitor or a mobile device, whatever you're using to watch this, is not exact, because all monitors are calibrated differently. I just recently stumbled upon a monitor that I want to buy, because apparently it's the truest to color, because I create graphics, and like the side thing is I help creatives like you guys who want to make money off your art. I build websites and email marketing and all that stuff. That's the business. Joe and I have a business doing that. I have a side business, which is a sister company, where I focus on helping just creatives. He works on more manufacturing. And the monitor that I have was really off on some of the colors, but I landed on this monitor, and it's not cheap. It's like, it's $500 and something, but it's the truest. It's a monitor that's supposed to be the truest to color. So I may end up picking it up. I don't know yet, because that's a big investment, considering I just ended up buying a new laptop. How gorgeous is that? And I'm just going to keep putting the paint on, because the more layers you put on, the darker it gets. So that's why I think don't focus on exact color matching through the monitor, because you're not going to get it. Like sometimes when I'm doing videos where on my monitor in front here, everything looks yellow, when in fact when I actually render the video, upload it to YouTube and Facebook, it's more green, so which is bizarre. It's just the way things work. And at the time of this video, I might be off by a year or two. Do you know that the internet is 30 years old? There are people out there that never experienced life before the internet. And I just, like my grandkids. Like my grandkids. And my son, Harrison. And that's just weird. There we go. All right, so let's dry this. The almighty drying time. I think that's the thing that teaches you the biggest patience. Let's dry this, and then we'll see what it looks like dry, and then the magic is going to be, well, it's not going to be too intense, but I'm going to tell you what to do if it is too intense, and then we're going to varnish it, and you're going to see the before and the after. All right, so we're pretty well dry now, so there you go. Take a look at that. Okay, so what if we say, oh, you know what? That's too much contrast. Let's knock it down a little bit more. You could repeat the steps again. And remember, now, as you're repeating all the steps, this page is getting thicker, which is a nice bonus. Just repeat the steps by mixing medium with the paint. And just another glazing layer. Remember, each glazing layer you add, it gets darker. But if it's too intense, so this is contrast, and I'm going to do a layer to knock that back a bit because it's too much contrast. Okay, so I want to darken it. But let's say it's too intense. So let's say this was like super bright blue. The glazing layer you could add is a complementary color or another transparent neutral. So what do I mean by that? We can look at, we could do this one, we could do this one. So we could do a transparent layer of transparent yellow iron oxide or even quinacridone burnt orange. If we went to transparent red iron oxide with the blue, what might happen? You might get something a little bit more purple, but these are all neutral colors. You could try mixing, let's say, raw umber with matte medium to see what happens, or even a complementary color. So you could look at orange. Now, I know what I'm going to get. If I don't do this, I'm going to get a gazillion emails from you guys. So I will do it right now. Let me go with orange. Because I have the matte medium on here, I can do this. And I've got a baby wipe handy. Let me get a small brush. I'm going to be doing so much cleaning up with brushes. So this is Pyrrole Orange, which is PO73. So it's a pure pigment. You're going to take pure paint. Okay, so that's what happens with the pure paint. And you can see that it does knock up. Oh, that's really pretty. Wow. That knocks it back a little bit. So let's wipe that off. You don't need a lot of that. I really like that one. All right, so let's do that. What if you did transparent yellow iron oxide? It takes on a green tone, but look at that. Okay, so remember, yeah, so yellow and blue make green. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about what to use for your transparent colors. Again, that was another one that was beautiful. Okay, so let's do this. If you guys want to see videos on glazing, please let me know, either in the comments below, or better yet is to go to artplace.ca, click contact, and then send it to me as a private message. That way I'll guarantee that I'm going to see the email. But what if we did, okay, let's do red. So these are all transparent colors. I'm not going to use as much. Yeah. This is like one of the go-to colors. Look at that. Oh my God. So you could use that to knock it back. Okay. Some of it still stays behind. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, but I do have to remove it all. I do have to remove it all to make a true experiment. Whoopsie. I almost ripped the page there. Now what happens if we use, get rid of that group. So now, okay, so transparent yellow iron oxide is PY42, and the transparent red iron oxide is PR101. A quick DIY one for the transparent red iron oxide, burnt sienna, and you can take, let's say, Naphthol red, even try this one, crimson, but basically it's a intense burnt sienna. Quinacridone burnt orange, believe it or not, is a red. It's PR206. This is the only bottle I have of this stuff. Look at all the brushes I have to clean. Okay. If I could live in a world like this. Oh, God. That's going to take the baby wipe. And let's open sesame. And let's bring that around. That's how you knock it back. Think of the color wheel. So. Aren't you lucky? I don't have any paper. Oh, yes, I do. I'm going to buy a minute because it has to dry. If I was a pen, where would I be? All right, so think of the color wheel. When you think about your glazing layers, so I've got red, I've got green. Okay, so these are opposites on the color wheel, so you can glaze these two colors. And then we have our red-orange, but then we have orange, and then we have yellow-orange, and then we have yellow. I'm a bit off on here. Then we have yellow-green here, then we have blue-green here, and then we have blue. Then we have blue-violet, then we have violet, then we have red-violet. So if we think of these here, and in here, what I like to call is the neutral zone. Okay, the neutral zone are all your earth colors and neutral colors, yellow oxides and your burnt umbers, burnt siennas, and all that stuff. They still sit somewhere on the color wheel, but these are all the neutrals. And then you have the black and white. So if you're glazing with the opposite color, that's a transparent color, you're naturally going to neutralize it, but you're going to keep some of that. You're going to neutralize it, so you're going to dull it down, but you're going to keep a vibrant color. Versus if you were to glaze with black or glaze with white, because that's just changing value. And if you're neutralizing with, let's say, a burnt umber, burnt sienna, raw umber, those are opaque, so you're going to have to add a lot of medium and a lot of layers to try to get it to the level that you want. So for this example here, because we were working on a blue-green, which was, so this is blue-green, so which is right around here somewhere, and because I went with a quinacridone burnt orange, which blue, taking that, I mean, the opposite to blue-green is red-orange right here. Because quinacridone burnt orange is a red pigment, and the way that it shifted, so you're going to get some neutralizing here, but it's right around here somewhere because it's like an earth, almost like an earth tone. So it's right around here. So you're going to get that, you're going to neutralize the colors, but you're still going to keep it pure. You're not adding black or white to change the values, and it's not going to get muddy. Did that make sense? Look at that. Oh, I don't have a place to put this. Oh. This is where I really miss Chaos, because she would be up on the table and checking things out. There we go. We're dry. Look at that. Big difference, right? So if you want to knock that down even more, you can just repeat the same step. But if you'd like to see some videos on the glazing techniques, like what I'm doing here, the glazing techniques using blacks and whites and complementary colors and triadic colors and all this other stuff on the color wheel, let me know in the comments below, or like I said, go to the website and click the contact link. Everything will be in the description below. what I want to do now is I want to do the varnishing. This is going to be where the magic happens. So I'm going to use the Decor Media Ultra Matte Varnish, indoor, outdoor, so it is a waterproof. Now, always follow the directions on whatever product you have. I'm just going to lightly give it a, you're supposed to do this to avoid bubbles. I don't have the patience for that. I'm sorry. But this is so thick. And I'm going to get my varnishing brush and I'm going to go directly into the cap. And this varnishing brush, this is the only thing I use for this. So I'm only going to varnish half. So you can see. The nice thing about when you're using an indoor-outdoor varnish is that you can actually wipe your piece with a slightly damp cloth to clean it. And you have to work fairly quickly. I take a little bit more time just to, feather the markings out and the brush strokes out. I don't mind it showing up on camera. Okay, so I only did half. All right, so I'm going to cap this and I'm going to turn the camera off, and I'll come back. This will probably take maybe about a half an hour to fully dry. Then I'll show you what it looks like. Alrighty, so it's all finished. So here we go. Let's see if I can. There you go. That's the difference. So you'd be photographing on this here, but look, there's no glare. That's the unvarnished side. So can you imagine your photography with that? That's too distracting. This is perfect. There's only one con. What happens is that you do lose a little bit of that intensity. But remember, you're photographing your artwork on this. You don't want the background to compete with the foreground, with your art. You don't want your background to compete with that. If your background's too busy, you're going to take away from it. I could go back and knock this down just a little bit more. Okay, so I varnished this. So can I still work on it? I would. I would just apply a layer of matte medium on this. I mean, this matte medium is so versatile. I would just apply a layer of matte medium on that and apply another glazing layer. So what happens now if your background gets damaged? Work it into a mixed media piece. Collage something on top of it. Just build it up. But what I will probably start doing now is I will do the backgrounds in a different way, because for photography, this won't last. It's too thin. I thought it would be okay, but it's too thin. But it was a nice experiment. I just have to go into the packaging box to find the actual things I want to use. You can use cardboard too, but I'm going to show you a way to stack everything together. There we go. So yeah, so that's going to dry and it's going to be ready to use for photography. And like I said, using the products that I'm using, I know that I can go back matte medium and then I can add another glazing layer. If with whatever you guys are using, you'd have to experiment. But again, it's just a background, so life's not over if it ends up not working. Okay, so I'm gonna let this dry and then we'll come back and we'll take a look at it completely finished. You can see where I missed a little spot here. And then, yeah, so this is the effect I was going for right here, this ghosting here. This one here. So I can come back. So another experiment would be taking the mixture that I made a bit more white to see if I could make that go a little bit further. But look how beautiful that is. And now just to see what that would look like, I'm going to zoom the camera. So I'm just going to bring out some of the cards that I recently did. So you can see that this has a bit much for pattern for something like this. So I would probably use maybe that one because it's less distracting. But if you wanted to photograph, let's say, a background that you did, that's where that would work. Where you're not, so the little book of backgrounds, the mini book of backgrounds that I did, that's where this background would work. There we go. Come on, there we go. That actually looks really pretty. Okay, and even these ones here. Okay, actual finished pieces of art. That gets kind of hidden. You kind of lose it. So this is where when we're finished the entire series, that you can have a bunch of backgrounds to choose from for photography. That, look how beautiful that looks. Pop quiz. Why does this work so well on this background? Okay, so that's your pop quiz. Now, when answering the pop quiz questions, repeat the question in the comments and then put your answer that way, because I asked so many questions to you guys and I'm not going to remember. Alrighty, so what do you think? Again, if there's something specific you'd like me to do, let me know. If there's a particular background you'd like to create for photographing your artwork, for a specific piece of artwork, send me a picture of that artwork. You go to the website, you send me a comment. I will reply to that comment, which then you will have my email address, and then you can attach a picture. I don't publicize my email address on social media because spam. All right, so again, I asked a few questions, got the background, so let me know. Now, if you guys want to see more videos like this and you like this, give me a like. That just lets me know that you enjoy looking at watching these types of videos. And don't forget to subscribe/follow, just so you know every time that I publish a video that you'll know when it's released. I try to do a bunch of videos on Saturday, and then I pump them out, schedule them out every day for a week. This week's going to be a little bit different because we're going to move the studio, but I want to make videos for what you guys want to see. So unless you guys let me know what you want to see, I don't know what that is. But I do have this whole binder of stuff that you guys want, so I have something to work from. Alrighty, so I will let you go. Time to move the studio. So until I see you next time, stay inspired.